Good evening. My name is Amanda Soa, and I'm a student project manager at the Clarke Forum for Contemporary Issues at Dickinson College. On behalf of the Clarke Forum, I would like to welcome you to tonight's event, Adapting to Challenging Times, Local Small Businesses Navigate the Coronavirus Response. The closure of non-essential businesses and the shelter-in-place orders have had serious impacts on small businesses across the nation. This pandemic has brought about unprecedented challenges such as the rush to move from brick-and-mortar establishments to online sales platforms. At Dickinson, Professor Grant Brown has gathered a group of computer science majors to help small businesses navigate the web space and retain some form of income. Tonight, our panelists will further discuss how they are adjusting to this new reality and the techniques they have incorporated to address these new challenges. Our panelists for tonight are Tanis Monroy with the Destination Carlisle, Clarke Forum with Transformation Training and Fitness, and Stephanie Patterson Gilbert from George Lou's Virtual Candy Store. Stephanie Patterson Gilbert owns the George Lou's Virtual Candy Store, a candy, soda, and pop culture store in downtown Carlisle. Stephanie is also the founder and president of Destination Carlisle, a volunteer merchant organization that helps connect downtown merchants to each other and the community to downtown businesses. In addition to George Lou and Destination Carlisle, she has worked as a writer, designer, teacher, curator, and a scholar. Clarke Forum is the owner of the Transformation Training Fitness, a program that specializes in group and personal training for all ages and abilities in the Carlisle area. Reem has been providing a simple, fast, affordable solution to fitness for the last 13 years. In addition to the company, he is an adjunct professor in exercise science at Shippensburg University. Tanis Monroy brings his nonprofit experience, small business ownership, and marketing talent to the Carlisle community. In addition to running two nonprofits, Amani and Serve the City Carlisle, he is also the vice president of Destination Carlisle and an educator and supervisor with Project Share. There will be a question and answer session immediately following the program, so please type your questions in the live chat next to this YouTube video. Lenny Nguyen, Clarke Forum student co-supervisor, will be moderating the questions. Thank you so much for attending. We will now begin the presentation.
Basically, our business, we shut on March 16th, which was actually sooner than we were told to close down because, you know, being a retail store, we were dealing with a lot of people coming in and out. And once the schools closed down, we were concerned that it was going to cause more of a problem, that people were going to be coming in more than usual. And it kind of was like it was summer vacation for people. And we have 3 people in our immediate family that have underlying conditions. So we decided to shut down. We stayed closed for 2 weeks because we did not know if the virus was in the store. People tend to touch a lot of stuff in stores, and we wanted to make sure the virus had died. And then after that, we opened up on March 31st, and we're doing local deliveries within the 5-mile area. You can order online at georgielousretrocandy.com. We're also doing shipping. And as far as how we're doing, I mean, we're just trying to adapt. In small business, it's adapt or die. And so, you know, we're trying to adapt to the new situation, and then also try to navigate the various small business loan programs. And as Destination Carlisle, we're trying to make sure that we're staying in contact with our neighbors down here in downtown Carlisle to try to get information to them as best we can. We're keeping track on our Facebook page for Destination Carlisle, all the various businesses and the changes to how they're operating to try to get that out to the public. And, you know, we're just trying to hang in there.
For me, I do marketing and advertising and consulting. I'm in an interesting position because I can work from home. I do have 6 employees. I have 2 full-time employees, and the rest are part-time or contracted. And I've opted not to pay myself during this time, but to keep them fully paid and continuing our work. So we help with small businesses. We help them with websites, consulting on finances. And we have a set group of businesses that we work with. Obviously, we're not getting any new ones right now, but we are offering free services for any small business who needs help with website financing and consulting during this time, because we want to give back. Because our small business, not only in Carlisle, but in each small town, is the backbone of the local economy. So we want to give back to the mom and pop shops who are exactly that. Almost all of our businesses in Carlisle have family members working for the business. So when you shop in Carlisle, you're helping support a whole family, as opposed to when you're shopping at a box store or a chain like Walmart or Amazon. So your support goes a lot more, and we're just trying to navigate that right now because it's a little difficult for an already volatile economy, for small businesses to navigate through having less people coming in the door and having less orders to fulfill. So it's an interesting time, and for me, I'm just doing what I can. As Stephanie mentioned, we're both trying to help people through Destination Carlisle and keeping people up to date on the Facebook page and on the merchant page, so folks know how to get involved and how to help your local business.
My name's Kirk Ream. I'm the owner of Transformation Training and Fitness, and we've been shut down for about a month. What we do here is actually what we call group personal training. So we get a bunch of people in a room, we turn up the music loud, and we move from station to station, and we do exercise. All right, so we provide a workout every day where there's a lot of people. Sometimes there's 30 to 35 people. So essentially what we do is the opposite of what is being told to be happening right now. So it's been a big change for us because we've basically built a business model that is all about group and community and high fives and, just getting together and enjoying each other's company in addition to the workouts. So it's been quite a change for us because that's not allowed to happen right now. So what we've done is essentially we kind of saw the writing on the wall, thankfully, very early, and we shifted everything to an online model. So every day we send out a follow-along workout that we video for our members. And then on Saturday, we do a Facebook Live Zoom meeting for whoever wants to join for the community. So one of the things that's been interesting for me is there's a sense of almost mourning that's kind of in existence with our members, because they're used to seeing each other. They're used to being here at 6:15 a.m. or 4:45 p.m. and seeing the same faces 2-3 days a week. So there's almost a sense of loss that people are experiencing. What we do is we talk a lot about not only the physical benefits of exercise, but also the mental and the emotional component of those of exercise. So oftentimes we'll say the most important thing to happen in the gym is not necessarily the workout. And we've seen that kind of come to the forefront here as people are at home. So what's been really interesting as we've shifted online, I really feel like that sense of community, although separate, has almost grown deeper because of the craving or the desiring for connection here as we've been separated. So by trying to kind of continue to provide the exercise part to kind of help those feel good endorphins and things like that. And then we've kind of really stepped up our Facebook. We have a private Facebook group for our members. We've kind of stepped that up, and we just started a challenge last week that we call the Quarantine TEAM challenge, that we're giving people little mini challenges each day as far as the mental emotional health, as well as the follow along workouts.
All right. Thank you all for your presentation. We will now begin the question and answer session. So as a reminder for everybody who's watching this live stream right now, if you have any questions for our panelists, please type them into the live chat function on YouTube and we will direct your questions to the panelists. And depending on time, we will try to get to all questions, but we may not be able to. So some questions are already coming in, and one person asked, what are your organizations doing in regards to company benefits, specifically your 401k plan?
I mean, we don't have a 401k. I mean, you know, when we talk small business, we're small business. So a lot of us are family businesses in downtown Carlisle, and we have, you know, mostly part-time employees. Now, the restaurants might be a little different, but for the retail stores, you know, when you walk in the door, you're probably dealing with the owner, someone from the owner's family, or maybe a couple of part-time people. So we don't actually have 401k programs. You know, as I'm a sole proprietor, so for me, if I wanted one, I would have to set that up for myself. My 2 employees happen to be my sons. And so, you know, one's going to college and working here part-time, and the other one, you know, our rule in our house is if you're still living in our house for free, then you have to work at least a shift a week in the store. So he works on Saturdays. But he works full time at the Dickinson College Archives. So we don't actually have a 401k. So.
Yeah, we're in the same situation. We don't have anybody with a 401k. We've been fortunate as far as cancellation of memberships here that we haven't had very many. So my goal has been to continue to pay our employees as if we were still open and the hours that they would be working. So as long as we're able to do that, we're gonna do that as best we can.
Yeah, and same here. And I kind of want to share some of the misconceptions of economy in Carlisle. There's a lot of people that think the businesses here in town are making all this money and that they're well off, when statistically Carlisle has a much lower income, average income, than even a town like Westchester. So comparing Westchester, we both have around 20,000 people in the population. And I have some numbers here for you. So the U.S. average for one person, the U.S. average salary is $29,000. Carlisle is at barely $26,000. And Westchester, again, with the same amount of population, is at $45,000 a year. And now Westchester is very comparable, not only because of the population, but also there's a school right nearby. There's a handful, not a handful, but I think over 20 small businesses, which is comparable to our town, restaurants and retail. So Carlisle is on the lower end of the economy, mainly because we don't have a lot of jobs that provide a steady income. We don't have a lot of manufacturing. We don't have a lot of trade in the area. Stuff that kind of suffers when people are looking for a steady career. So when I mentioned earlier, and even Stephanie just said, you know, she has her sons working for her, almost every business here in Carlisle has a family member that they have working. So you're really supporting a whole family. You're not just supporting one business, you're supporting a whole family. So yeah, that's really important to stress, that the business owners aren't making an exuberant amount of money. They're just trying to get by day to day. A lot of them are doing what they love. A lot of them are doing their passion. A lot of them just want to give back to the Carlisle community.
Yeah, and if I can just add into that, you know, we did as Destination Carlisle, we did a food truck study last summer, whenever the borough was talking about allowing food trucks downtown. And we went around and we talked to 15 to 20 different businesses and actually talked to them about their profit margins and how many people they employ and what their opinion was. And the profit margins are so incredibly slim in small business in downtown Carlisle that it only takes the loss of a little bit of business. In the case of the food truck study, you know, some of the businesses were talking about, It would only take the loss of a few tickets at lunchtime to make it so that being open for lunchtime wouldn't make sense anymore. So, just to support what Tanis is saying, while we have Dickinson College, it is a smaller college. It's not like a Westchester, which I believe has far more students that go there than Dickinson. And we have also the War College, which is also helpful, but the average income really does, affect how much we can make in our businesses. We just don't have the foot traffic day to day that is, making it so being a business here is easy. And so it's important to understand that, while a question about a 401k, seems to, make sense in a discussion about small businesses. I mean, we are small businesses. We're tiny businesses, comparatively. Most of us, other than the restaurants, most of retail have under, 5 employees, and most of those are part-time. So.
Right. Thank you for your answers. This is a question specifically for Kirk. Someone is wondering, are the following along workouts that you mentioned live or recorded, or are they both live and recorded?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've been back and forth with that a little bit. And on Saturday, it's live and recorded, and then we send it out. During the week, they're actually pre-recorded workouts that we do and then send out. So when we're open and people are coming in, we have 5 class times a day. So our initial idea was to just continue with those class times and do them live all of the time. But we did get a fair amount of feedback as we started to pre-record them that people really, because schedules are so weird at the moment with people who normally might come in when school's in session. Now school is always in session at home, essentially. So people are able to take these pre-recorded workouts. They seem to prefer those and fit them in when they can. So one other interesting thing that's started to pop up inside of our community because of the pre-recorded workouts is now groups of 3, 4, 5 people who would have come to class together are now starting to Zoom each other with the pre-recorded workout that we're providing. So they're actually creating the little community and small groups and that they would get here on their own, which is a kind of a cool thing to watch happen.
Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you. For Stephanie and Tanis, can you guys speak a little more about Destination Carlisle and what their mission is, and how are you continuing this mission in the midst of this pandemic?
Sure. Destination Carlisle is an all-volunteer merchant organization. We just filed for our not 401k, that's stuck in my mind now. We just filed for a 501(c)(3) status. We're still waiting for that. That's pending. Basically, it's made up of merchants, and we try to connect merchants to each other to help them find opportunities to work together. If anyone remembers the Halloween weekend event that happened in the fall with the farm to table dinner and the lampposts that were decorated with the pumpkin wreaths and the bucket list that happened over last summer, that was us. We put that together, and it's been interesting. We actually were going to ramp up this year and had started to make some moves to do some bigger events. And this kind of stopped us in our tracks for now, because being how all of us are small business owners or work for small businesses in downtown Carlisle, we're just scrambling right now to try to keep our own businesses afloat, and then to support our families and just keep safe and all that type of thing. However, like I said, we're trying to use our Facebook merchant page. We're trying to use emails, and we're trying just to be there as an outlet for people to try to, get more information. If we don't have the information, we'll find it for them. We have a good connection with the borough as well. Councilman Sean Schultz and I, talk, and I try to keep him apprised of what's going on in the small business community as much as I can, sort of a behind the scenes, to try to make sure that the borough's aware of what's going on, the trouble that we're having as small businesses trying to navigate this, and also to try to keep the businesses apprised and aware, and to let them know that we're all in sort of the same boat right now. If I have information to share, ask me. I hope you're going to share information with me. And in fact, we're even connecting into a broader community right now of business owners in downtown Carlisle. in particular for me, on a personal case, you know, my own bank, everybody started about the payment protection program and all these various programs that the federal government is implementing to help small business. And my own bank stopped accepting applications for that program before I could apply, because I'm a sole proprietor and there was like a week delay before sole props could go ahead and apply. And so I contacted like 15 different banks trying to find a bank that would take an application, and all of the banks were requiring that you had already been an established client as far back as February. And I kind of put a feeler out, and Rob Neidlinger from Berkshire Hathaway, his wife is the owner of that here in Carlisle. He's been our realtor for a long time. He actually reached out to me, and he had a connection at Mid-Penn Bank and was able to find me a place that I could apply. And now I'm actually reaching out to other people who are in the same boat as me. And I think I've been contacted about 10 times now and been able to provide that information to other small business owners as to where they can go and even get an application in at this point. So, I mean, it's really right now about connections. And, you know, one thing that's great about our downtown Carlisle community is we don't really look at each other as competitors, even if we're in the same sort of industry. Because we know that all of us rely on each other, and it allows us to have more people come downtown. If someone's coming to, you know, Mommert's over on Pomfret Street and they don't have what she needs, she's going to send them to me, and vice versa. And so we're trying really hard to make those connections, keep those connections, and to try to help each other through this, because the last thing that we want to see is any business fail in downtown Carlisle for any reason on a normal basis. And you know, when we're looking at a situation like this, where we're all closed just about, and we're already on slim margins, you know, we could come out of this and see easily 20% failure rates right away. Or, you know, with some of these programs that are being offered by the government, most of them are loan programs, and we don't know what the other side of this looks like. So there could be potentially a situation where, you know, you take the loan to survive this part of it, but then 6 months from now, you fail anyway because the business doesn't rebound and you can't pay those loans back. So, you know, like I said, we're all kind of scrambling, and as Destination Cloud, we're just trying to, you know, do what we can to offer whatever advice, whatever input. If we find a good article online that, you know, explains one of these programs, we share it with the group to try to educate everybody as best we can.
Yeah, Stephanie's a wealth of information, and she does a great job of handling the Facebook page for Destination Carlisle. And if you go to Destination Carlisle Facebook page, there's a comprehensive list of restaurants who are offering takeout or delivery, which is amazing to see because some of them have never done it before. So a place like Marcos Pub is using delivery and doing curbside pickup, and so many others. So it's during a time where so many people are losing jobs. Our downtown is creating some more jobs, you know, getting more drivers, getting people to deliver, which is great. So if you want to know what business to support for your dinner or your breakfast, check out Destination Carlisle Facebook page. For me, I love Chick-fil-A's fried chicken, but I would rather support, you know, like a Marcos Pub or a Hook and Flask. Businesses are working with family and giving back to the community as opposed to a big chain restaurant.
Thank you for your answers. Before we continue to the next questions, I just want to say that some of these questions were directed to one panelist, but at any point, if any of you guys have anything else to add, please do. So the next question is for Tanis. What are you hearing from other small businesses regarding government loans?
I'm hearing that people are struggling because a lot of businesses have never taken out a loan. You know, they started a business on what they had already. So for now, in these tough times, for the government to be telling them, hey, your only choice is to get a loan, is very difficult for a lot of businesses. And that's understandable because it's a new position to be in. And you know, we don't know when this is going to end. So if it doesn't end until next year, you know, obviously we don't want that, but it's very difficult for a business to be on the hook for something that they have to owe back especially when they're not making a lot of money right now. And I think that the federal government just said that today they're going to run out of the $350 billion that they set aside for small businesses. They've already almost run out. So there's tons of businesses that haven't been able to apply. So it's a very difficult time. But I'm hoping that the end is near. And I know in Carlisle specifically, we have such a giving community, and we have such a resourceful community that I hope that most of the businesses will make it through. So it's a tough time, especially when it comes to doing the application. And as Stephanie said, there's a lot of banks that are closing down the application. So you have to get creative with where to go and who to talk to.
Thank you. The next question is for Stephanie. The audience asked, before you reopen for normal business, do you anticipate opening in some kind of modified fashion? Maybe just opening the door but not letting people in, or doing takeout?
Well, as I said, we've been doing local delivery. So basically you order online, and if you're within a 5-mile radius, we'll bring it right to your door and drop the order on your porch. Right now, all of the candy in the store and the soda that we sell is online. We are slower at getting the gift items online, but if you're just looking for candy, that's all available. We did not do takeout or curbside pickup, even though as a specialty food store, technically we could, because we didn't want people to come out of their houses to us. We thought it would be more controlled if it was just us coming to them. So, my 2 sons are doing deliveries. So it's 2 people out, making the various deliveries instead of having, 5 people who ordered coming and parking and then, having that interaction. I would have to say that, it's a wait and see right now approach as far as what happens next. Because we have the underlying conditions, and because, my husband and I were talking about this, it's very difficult in a small business in downtown to do social distancing. And my store is one of the larger stores as far as square footage. But if I had 3 or 4 families in here, with little kids, and the little kids might be running around or, looking around, and everybody's kind of spread out, it would be very difficult to social distance and to keep, or physical distance, however you want to refer to it at this point. It would be very difficult to do that. Plus, everybody would come to the same counter and stand at the same counter to do their transaction. So I think it's, like I said, it's a really wait and see approach. I'm not big on the curbside pickup, only because, like I said, it's calling more people out of their houses who are supposed to stay home. But, come April 30th, we'll see what, is being recommended by the CDC and the federal government and the state government. And then we'll have to adapt and go from there. I know there's been some conversation amongst certain small businesses about, for example, if you're a lawn care company and you're out mowing lawns, why shouldn't you be allowed to do that, sooner than later, because you're not really interacting with customers in the same way like a retail store would, or a restaurant. And I kind of can get behind that idea. Or a construction company, for example, which would be totally different. So I think, the best approach is not to get too ahead of yourself. If you're able to get online as a retail business, to get online. If you're able to do takeout as a restaurant, do the takeout. I think the program that Professor Brott is offering, which is having Dickinson College students help build e-commerce websites for free for the small businesses, is a great thing. And we've tried to, push that out towards the merchants in case they need that help. And I think that's the best thing for now. And as far as supporting businesses, what you can do is you can actually, buy gift cards. It's kind of a big push, buy gift cards. Everybody's been talking about that. If they are online or doing takeout, support them as you can. And we know everybody's, having a difficult time right now. Individual families are seeing their income shrink as well. But, if you're going to go out and get food, get it from Eastside Noodle, or get it from someplace, Spoon's Cafe, instead of going and getting it from Applebee's, for example, because the money that you spend in our small businesses, as Tanis has pointed out, you're actually supporting the families that live in this community. And so that money is going to stay here, and we're going to use it to go support, our fellow small businesses as well.
Kirk and Tanis, would you like to follow up on that point? What are some things that the community can do right now to support your organizations?
Yeah, actually, we've been very fortunate. Like I mentioned earlier, we've had very few cancellations. So we've been very fortunate. We've been able to continue, although differently, with the online workouts as opposed to getting together. I've actually, because of the giving that the members here have given us with continuing, I've really kind of shifted my focus as far as how can we continue to give back to our members, but also the local community. So part of our challenge is every day we have a daily winner, and that daily winner gets to pick a local business that will provide a gift card for. So, as far as how you can support local businesses, it's just like everything Stephanie said. I mean, you can, buy gift cards and frequent them in the ways that you can now. But I do think there's this kind of there's an obligation to by the local businesses, although we're kind of in this survival mode and keep it going and, live to fight another day type mentality. There's also, I think that the community is also looking to us for a sense of normalcy. So when they want something to eat, that they can go get something at Market Cross or whoever is doing, curbside. And there's that sense of normalcy. Like, even though everything else is out of whack, I can still go get my food, my favorite meal that I like, or I can still go, grab some candy from Georgie Lou's or have it delivered to me. It might be delivered in a different way, but it gives them a sense of, I think, a sense of peace and a sense of, this is going to be okay. So there's, the small businesses have a, a kind of a burden to bear, not only to stay afloat, but also because of what we provide to the community. And because it's such a two-way street. They're providing for us, but we're also providing for them at the same time.
I agree with what Kurt and Stephanie are saying. There's a variety of ways to support your downtown and small businesses. There's a few small movements that are happening right now. One is called Carlisle Strong, and what they're doing is they're buying meals from restaurants at a reduced rate in order to give the restaurant an opportunity to make money while also donating that food to local shelters who help homeless people and folks who are low income. So it's a win-win, because some restaurants are struggling right now with takeout because, like I said, it's brand new, and a lot of them are between the line of, is it worth it to continue because it might cost more to do takeout, or should we just stay home and wait it out? So Carlisle Strong has really tried to work with different businesses. One, namely, is Spoon's Cafe, who donated, I think, close to 100 lunches at a reduced rate. And that's something that would have been hard for them to do on a normal day during this time. So they quickly jumped on board on that movement. And they have a Facebook page as well, Carlisle Strong. And I think that kind of jumped from another movement called the Passion Project, which is to encourage people to do what they're passionate about right now. So I'll be sure to add and to let them know, you can do workouts at home by following Kirk and his business, to follow them on live. But really, whatever you're passionate about right now, you should keep doing, but do it safely. So it was started by two local chefs. One is a chef from Brick over on High Street, and the other one is a chef from the Millworks in Harrisburg. And they love to cook, and both of those restaurants had to close because they weren't making enough volume, and they both try to bring in fresh ingredients, so it wouldn't have worked out in this time. But instead of throwing out the food, the restaurants agreed to donate it. And these two chefs decided to, instead of throwing this food out that we were given, we're going to cook and we're going to help people who are in need. So every week they've been cooking for a different organization and a different family who needs it. So if you have any food that you would like to give, or if you want to share your passion and your story, just hashtag passion project, or I mentioned the Carlisle Strong Project as well. So yeah, just reach out on Facebook. Facebook has become even bigger, especially in this time right now, to share information. So yeah, just stay up to date on the Facebook pages for now.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add that, Tanis had mentioned that Destination Carlisle has a list of the downtown businesses that are still operating and what capacity they're operating in. And that includes businesses that are fitness businesses, our various yoga and training places. As Kirk is saying, they're offering online classes. There are retail stores that are selling online. There are obviously the restaurants doing takeout. The law offices are working from home and doing phone consultations. The realtor offices are doing the same thing. So it's at this point, I think we have about 70 businesses that we're trying to keep up with and we're constantly changing that list. It's a pinned post at the top of our Facebook page. And as some of these businesses have changed what they're doing, a couple of times, and every time we come across it, we change it on the Facebook page to keep everybody up to date. And we invite any business in the downtown area or in the broader Carlisle area to go ahead and tag and comment underneath that post how they're adapting and whether they're open and what hours they're open. Because as I said, as a community of small business owners, Destination Carlisle focuses on Carlisle, but I was just talking to the owner of Tangles today. She placed an order on my website, and I was talking to her, and all of us in small business are in kind of the same boat, and we don't want to see anybody struggle or fail or what have you because of they were open and people didn't know. So anything we can do to push out information to the public and keep them apprised of who is opening, who is still open in some capacity and what they are doing. And just because a business may have closed, been closed 2 weeks ago, it doesn't mean that they're still closed. They may have gone online in that time. For example, Miss Ruth's Time Bomb is now online selling vintage, and it's a little harder for a business like hers or Kindred Caboodle, which is a gift store in downtown, to get online because they aren't buying, like me, I have 24 candy bars in a box. So when I put that up, I can put that up one time and I have 24 to sell. Whereas Miss Ruth's Time Bomb, it's one of a kind vintage items. So it's very difficult. It's a much more, hard process to take pictures of everything and get it listed. So just because one of your favorite businesses may not have been open 2 or 3 weeks ago, it doesn't mean that they haven't since adapted and gotten online. So try to keep checking, our page. We'll keep that online as much as we can and up to date. Also to, check the individual Facebook pages. And if all else fails, go ahead and send an email to the business and ask them, what you can do to help.
Great, thank you all for your answers. Stephanie, one of our audience also wanted to know what's your favorite candy that you sell at your store?
We actually get asked that a decent amount. And my favorite candy is Swedish Fish, the mini red ones particularly. When I was a little girl, my brother played at the Carlisle American Little League, and I used to work in the concession stand with my mom. And Swedish Fish were a go-to for me, and they still are. It's probably the one candy in the store that, it's just my go-to. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like other candy, but that's just the one I would probably eat, a 5-pound bag and still want more. So.
Thanks for your answer. Swedish Fish are really good. The next question is for all of you. Someone is wondering, after the quarantine is over, do you think you'll keep any of the changes that you've made to your organization due to the pandemic?
Well, I'll go. That's something we've been debating over the last couple of weeks because of the interest that it's brought up for our current members, but also we've had, as we've done this challenge, we've had about 20 people who have never attended here start doing the online classes, simply because they've loved the idea of what we do, but have never been able to make the class schedule work. So we're actually kind of figuring out how to continue to provide what we've added. And I think Tanis mentioned it, or it may have been Stephanie, I'm sorry, but I don't remember. But the ability for these small businesses to adapt is really something special. To see the things that people have come up with that will now become part of their businesses that they haven't even really given any thought to previously is really, really pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we were already doing some limited deliveries. We started doing them actually, we've been open for 10 years, and we started doing them almost right away because we had Dickinson College parents coming in the store who wanted to send, or calling us up and wanting to send candy to their students on campus. So we've been doing it as a service in a very limited way because not too many people are ordering online when they can just walk in the store. We have been doing that. We would continue to do delivery. You know, I think part of the changes, and Kirk can maybe attest to this, it comes down to staff. You know, when you have very few staff members, you know, you're sort of in a way bare bones because that's what all you can afford to do. It's difficult, you know, to continue to offer services that you're offering right now without adding more staff. So I think it would, you know, we'll deliver. We probably won't do anything close to the volume that we're doing now. You know, I think with the online classes, some of those could probably be recorded and you could go ahead and have that recorded, but it's still not the same than having that one-on-one sort of interaction. And I think that's the thing in downtown Carlisle that we really do well with, and I think as a community as a whole, the business community does well. It's our customer service. It's our ability to talk to our customers and get invested in their lives, and they're invested in our lives, and that one-on-one conversation that you can have. And you know, you can come to me and ask me, you know, what happened to Great Swedish Fish. By the way, they stopped being made in 2006, in case you're wondering. And you can ask that question to me and I'm gonna know. And if there's a candy that's still being made, you ask me about, I'll be able to get that for you. Just like Jeff over at the Whistle Stop, you know, he can find you the book that you need. Or you can go into Pat Craig's studio, and if you're looking to have, you know, she does these earrings out of bottle caps, and if you have bottle caps, she can, you know, custom make them for you. And I think, you know, it's sort of that one-on-one customer service that we're able to do, and that, you know, investing. And so, you know, if you're only doing delivery or you continue to do that and that's your interaction with your customer, you don't really get that. Same with doing the online classes as well. I mean, you could record them and you could get something out of it. But I think people are going to Kirk because they like Kirk and they like what he's doing and they like to see the other people in class. So I think, you know, it's a possibility. But I think you know, the thing that allows me to do delivery the way I'm doing it right now is I'm not open. I don't have to physically stand behind the counter in the store and man the store at the same time. So.
For us, I've always encouraged us to meet at downtown places like Square Bean, have a meeting there, have coffee, have a little snack. But now, you know, after this, I'm definitely going to encourage my team to not have favorites, but just to enjoy the entire downtown and to sort of spread the wealth. You know, we have plenty of restaurants, plenty of coffee houses, a lot of fun retail shops. So I'm going to tell everybody, hey, you know, just enjoy every single one because a lot of them were in this during the difficult times, so we should be there for them. And I've encouraged my employees to volunteer at different organizations in this time because there's still a lot of need going on. So I'm gonna try to keep that up afterwards and really have everybody working together. And also my favorite candy that Stephanie sells, and Kirk might yell at me because I'm already a big guy, but I love the chocolate and potato chip. It's amazing. You can't go wrong with it. Potato chip and chocolate, I mean, come on.
Thank you for your answers. The next question that our audience has for you is, how do you envision downtown in 5 years?
Well, I think, that's a difficult thing to wrap your head around. I mean, I've been here for 10 years now, so I've seen, a set of 5 years and then another set of 5 years. And I don't know. I mean, I think it really depends at this point. I think we were getting to a point in downtown Carlisle where we were starting to become more of a destination where, someone from a neighboring community might have come to spend the afternoon because we have enough restaurants and we have enough retail now that you can do that. We even, now we have, a lot of people have, in other communities have ghost tours. And we actually, with Time Walker Tours, we have added that. Grand Illusion is, they were in the process of putting in an escape room. So there's been things coming into downtown that are starting to make us even more so a destination. And so I think it really depends on what happens after this. I mean, what businesses are going to survive, and of course we hope all of them. And do people feel safe coming out and coming to the businesses? How long is that going to take before that happens? Are we going to see another wave of COVID-19 after we get through this one? Because with the Spanish flu epidemic, that actually happened. So they saw 3 waves. Are we going to see waves? I think it's going to take a while to stabilize. I don't necessarily know if we're heading for a recession or not. And of course, that's going to affect it. I think it's difficult though. And I think Kirk said this earlier about his customers, about having this sense of mourning. And I think for a small business owner, this whole situation has been so surreal because you spend so much time and energy and effort to build your business to get it to a point where you feel stable or successful. And then, we're just kind of watching our businesses circle the drain right now in a way. And there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. And that is, I mean, it's hard to watch and hard to go through. But I think, as Tanis has said, the broader Carlisle community has been very supportive of our businesses in downtown. Once they know about us and they get to know us, they come back and come back and come back. And so I have faith in the community. As long as the community itself is going to be in a good place, then I think that we'll see the downtown rebound a lot better than if we see a lot of people also out of work. And you can't expect people to come and, eat in your restaurant and go to your brewery and buy candy if they're just struggling themselves. So, I mean, I think 5 years, it's difficult to say. I would like to see it, be as good as it is now, maybe a little better as far as getting some more retail down here. I think we need a little more retail. But also at the same time, I'm just trying to be cautious and not to get too far ahead of myself as far as thinking about that. So that's where I think I am.
Yeah, actually, we had interesting timing with this because we were literally 6 weeks from moving to downtown, right beside Market Cross. So I'm a Carlisle guy. I was, raised at Carlisle, went to Carlisle High School, went away to college, and came back, and have been in business here for 13 years. And there were certainly times over the last 13 years that I would have never thought about moving my business downtown. We've been through seasons where the downtown is, people were deserting the downtown, and now within the last, I don't know, what do you think, Stephanie? 5 years, 8 years, something like that. Things have really,
I think it's been recent. I would say since the 2016 election is really when I've seen a difference.
Okay, yeah.
We were gradually growing, and then the election happened in 2016, and it was like suddenly people had a different level of consumer confidence than what they had before, and
Sure.
it kind of exploded in a way. And so I would say it's been 4 years, 5 years maybe.
So that's so now we were in this position where 6 weeks, our place is being built out, 6 weeks away from moving, and then this all happened. So I was actually thinking about this question, like, what is it going to look like? And I'm actually hopeful. And Stephanie brought up a lot of good points about how people are feeling. Do they feel like, where are they at financially? All those type of things. But I do think that this has also created when we do get the all clear, whenever that is or whatever that looks like, I do think we've realized the importance of this sense of community, which I think Carlisle really does a good job building that and seeing how the downtown has grown and that people want to be part of that. And I feel like I'm hopeful that when we do kind of get to a point where we can get back out around each other, that we'll actually do that, obviously in a safe way and the way that we're directed to, but finding ways to do that more. Obviously, we've learned a lot about the virtual world over the last 4 weeks, and as awesome as that's been, it doesn't replace the person-to-person community and relationships that as well as Zoom is, and as good as the technology is, there's still a longing and a need to be around people.
For me, I would say 5 years. It's going to come by really quickly. I grew up in Carlisle. I was here since grade school, towards 4th grade. But I noticed such a difference from 10 years ago to 2 years ago. And I feel like there's a lot of business owners who are working together more. They're creating more of a network to work with one another, not competing with each other, but just strengthening the community and just helping everyone out. I'm a big proponent that if one business or one group in town succeeds, then everybody's going to succeed together. So I'm hoping in 5 years there's more unity, and people remember today during the coronavirus that we're stuck at the house, but we need to support our businesses and support our local economy, because they're truly the backbone of what makes our town great. So I'm hoping that people remember, even though it might not be the best time, but hopefully we remember this and we learn from it, and that we support each other more.
Yeah, I think that's something also that I would, like to emphasize is, yes, we're in this pandemic right now and everybody's scrambling, and there's been this big push again to support small businesses. The only other time we really see that is on Small Business Saturday, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And I think it's important to think that way as much as you can throughout the year. Because again, if you're going to go out to eat, we have, at last count, 32 restaurants in downtown that offer a wide variety of cuisine. And so if you're going to go out on a Friday night to have dinner, we invite you to come downtown and, give us some business down here. And then when you're done, walk around, maybe you're going to go catch a movie at the theater. Maybe you have dinner before that. Maybe you're going to pick up some macarons at Helena's. Maybe you're going to get some candy that you might sneak into the movie theater from my store. Erica won't like that, but whatever. Maybe you're going to go to the Cumberland County Historical Society, to their free museum, and then, go across the street to Cafe Bruges, get a little lunch. But, to think that way as much as you can all the time. And of course, not everybody has the income to be able to do that. And, we totally understand that, because a lot of us don't have the income to, do that as small businesses. But to try to think that way all the time, because again, your money that you spend in my business goes right back into the community. You go to Kohl's or Target or Walmart, and of course they sell things that we don't sell, and everybody has to shop there. But if you're looking for a gift, instead of going to Kohl's and looking at the jewelry counter, come down to Marjorie's Gems and see what she has, and to try to think that way a little more all the time, because we're all part of the same community. I was also raised in Carlisle. My family's been here since like the 1830s. And I went to Carlisle High School. And so, the kids coming in to get us to take ads in their programs, we're doing those things. So we're giving back to the community as well. And just to, think about that all the time. I would like to see that, and millennials really have been part of that movement towards, trying to keep things more local. They want to live in downtowns now instead of living in suburbs. And so, we see a lot of younger people that are downtown now, and they're wanting to stay downtown, do everything they can downtown, eat downtown, shop downtown. And so I would like to see that continue to grow, and continue to see our small business community grow and thrive.
For the last question, if this quarantine continues into the summer, do you have the resources and ability to continue as you do now, or what are some of the next steps that you'll take to sustain your organizations?
I mean, having been in business for 10 years already, I'm much more stable. So I have the ability probably to wait this out longer than some of the newer businesses. And in fact, I've been very worried about our businesses, especially those that have opened within the past year or so, because they are barely getting their feet underneath them or really know what it's like to do business in downtown Carlisle. And it's kind of a unique animal to do business down here. And so, it's one of those things where I can weather it a little bit longer. This payment protection program, if you can get it, will also help because most of that will turn into a grant afterwards. And, as Tana said earlier, one of the big things is no one wants to get a loan if they didn't already have a loan. And if you already had a loan, you don't want a loan anyway. So the idea that the payment protection program is going to turn into a grant is really attractive. And we actually applied for that. So that will help as well. But one thing I would like to say is if you are a landlord in downtown Carlisle, something that you could do that would really be helpful is to try to work with the small businesses who are your tenants and see what you can do about rent. Because rent is the number one biggest overhead cost for a lot of us down here. And so if there's anything you could do to be helpful, maybe, you can take a little less rent this month. Or maybe you can reach out to your tenant and, maybe it can get postponed until their small business loan money comes in or something. But that would be incredibly helpful to have that happen. It would help some of your small businesses survive a little longer. And I mean, like for me personally, I like I said, I could weather it, I think. I also have been blessed by the Carlisle community leading into Easter. They gave us a certain amount of orders for Easter candy. And that allowed us to, make our rent for April. So, anything, any dime or penny or dollar you spend in downtown is going to help that small business survive and get one more step towards being open again. And so, for me, like I said, I'd be okay. And again, I really want to stress that I think all of us need to, look out for our own safety and our family safety and our community safety first. And I think all of the staying at home, even though it's been difficult for some people, it's really, it has actually worked. We haven't seen that many cases in our local area right here. And, the whole community should be applauded for
that. For myself and my team, we're blessed to have a good reserve, but at some point we will run out. So I'm hoping that if we get to that point, that our local government, and not just Carlisle, but our state government is able to provide more resources for small businesses and people who are on their own. So I would like to see, Governor Wolf maybe implement a few programs that could help. There's a few petitions on change.org right now that have a lot of signatures, over 1,000. So it's people who really want there to be more local support in their own state. So I'm hoping if we get to that point that there'll be something that could help us out. If not, I've always had a fancy of being a hermit, so there's always that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question as well, because as a small business owner, when this all first started and we heard, I think the date was April 15th or something like that, and then it became April 30th, and there's just been this inability to plan that has become pretty frustrating, because you think, okay, well, I can get through a month, or I can get through 2 weeks or a month, and then it becomes 6 weeks, and then there's this unknown of, well, is this now 2 months or 3 months, and you hear what's going on in other countries, and so there's this inability to really plan, which creates this unsettled feeling, which obviously adds to nobody really makes great decisions in survival mode. You kind of survive and you put band-aids on issues, and you try to stay afloat. But a lot of times then when things settle down, you made some bad decisions just to stay open that you end up paying for. So it's hard to kind of envision what will happen in 3-4 months if it does continue. Like I said, we've been very fortunate to have a community of people here that have continued to support us. And like Stephanie said, I've been doing this quite some time too. And looking back, there's certainly been years and months where I think that I don't even know how we stayed open then. But I've been thinking a lot about the newer businesses downtown that have created this energy that we've been kind of searching for a while downtown. And my thoughts have been with them a lot to try to figure out ways to support them. The bottom line is this all comes back to people, and we have our own needs certainly, and we're thinking about our own businesses, but at the same time, we're thinking about them too, and other individuals are thinking about our businesses and so on. So it's I don't think there's any other way to do this than to continue to think about how you can do your best in your business, but also do your job in supporting the other businesses in town and the people here.
Kirk brought up a great point there. We have a lot of new businesses here in town that we're talking about their success story before all this happened, and it kind of put a pause button on their momentum, and it's really difficult to continue or even build that momentum again once it's stopped. So I'm hoping that all the newer businesses, hang in there, and that people will continue to support them during this time and afterwards.
One more question just came in, and this will be the last question. Is there a plan for reintroducing or even encouraging more downtown traffic once this all passes, such as increasing walkability or bike access or outdoor hangout spaces?
All of those things have been talked about throughout the years. I think the road diet was a way to try to make it more pedestrian friendly and also to give some bike access. There's been very mixed feelings about that as far as the success of that. I think it needs some tweaking. As far as foot traffic, that's one of the things that Destination Carlisle has on their big long list of projects to work on, because there doesn't seem to be anybody sort of paid to promote downtown that cares about the daily foot traffic. And the events are great, especially Ice Fest. It's a great event for downtown. But if you're a small business and you're trying to survive, the thing you need is day-to-day foot traffic. You need that more than anything. And so we've tried to come up with ways to, brainstorm ideas on how to increase that. And I think it really has come a long way. Now that we have Market Cross Pub and Hook and Flask and Grand Illusion and Molly Pitcher, there are people that will come downtown to all those breweries and distilleries, and they'll kind of walk around. And while they're walking around, they go to the businesses in between. And so it kind of creates, because they're spread out through downtown, it creates sort of this natural traffic flow that's been helpful. And I think that's helped the momentum. But it's there. I don't think there's any set plan in place. And just to revisit that idea that we were talking about just a little bit earlier about, the state or the local governments. I know that, I have reached out to the borough and a couple of other places to try to see if they had funds available that could be given out a lot faster than what it's taking the federal government to get money to the small businesses, that, sort of a Band-Aid of sorts. And unfortunately, I think in the borough situation, because they're trying to move money around and some of that money came from the federal government, they're running into federal issues as well and trying to get, the permissions and how do you do it. And so I think the thing for me, as far as what I would like to see in regards to what the local government or the state government or the county government could do, is to look for money that might have been earmarked for helping business already, and try to push that money out into direct aid faster than, so that in the meantime, a business might be able to survive and make their rent. And then, 3 or 4 weeks from now, they can get their small business money and then continue to be able to survive. So, anybody that's in county, state, local government, if that's what's needed, it's the expediency with which, this money is coming. That's right now the problem. It's just slow. And I don't know of anybody who has money yet from any of these loan programs, even somebody who applied 3 or 4 weeks ago to some of the original loan programs. And so, you know, that's something that we need to get through this part. And then I think sort of, as Kirk was saying, you know, you kind of are making decisions now on the fly. They may not be the best decisions. And then once we are firmly okay, then I think we start looking at how do we recover? And I have faith in the community as well, as, you know, I think a lot of our business owners do, that they will come back when they can. And, you know, it might be the first day we open our doors. It might be, you know, 3 months later when they feel stable themselves. But I do feel like the community will support us. I think they place value in what we are able to do. We're kind of the heart of the downtown, and we want people to be able to, you know, continue to think of us that way.
For me, I would say that we have a great foundation already, but we just need to figure out our identity. We have Dickinson College, we have the War College, the War Barracks, and we have all these great entities and great parts to make Carlisle. But if you ask somebody what Carlisle is, you would get 100 different answers. And I think that goes into how do we promote our town better? How do we market Carlisle? I mean, just a few years ago, in consecutive years, we won the most walkable town and the best small town in the U.S. And we beat, you know, big popular towns such as Annapolis and a historic town in Virginia, which to me is amazing. So we just need to promote ourselves better and continue to work with one another. Because if we create a true sense of unity, we can really showcase that, and people will be intrigued. And you know, we have a beautiful downtown already, so it just takes a few things here and there to tweak it. But I think we'll be in good shape after all this is over, and you know, I hope we can all work together like we're doing now more than ever.
Yeah, I would just add to that you know, I do think there's a misconception on the parking component of downtown. I think that I was amazed when we were looking for a space downtown. I was talking to Mr. Tuckey, who owns our building, and you know, the concern is, where will people park? In that area, as very similar to a Walmart parking lot. And if you were to park in the furthest spot away from Walmart, you would have the same distance walking as you would in the downtown. However, it's just different. So there is a misconception that there's not parking, which prevents people from, you know, from considering going downtown. I think that is changing as new businesses have come in, as people, you know, do find that, hey, I can park there and walk to this place and then walk here and walk there. So I think that is changing, but there is still that mentality. And I can, you know, tell you firsthand, the first impression of every time I tell people where we're moving, a fair amount of people will be like, oh, you know, I hope the parking's all right for you. So that is the first thing that's on people's minds. Especially, you know, we're used to simple and easy, but I do think if we could do a better job just addressing the parking situation with our future customers and explain, hey, this is where you can park and there is parking here, and you know, it might not be that first space that you're looking.
So that concludes tonight's event. Thank you to our panelists for sharing your experiences and sharing what the community can do to support each other and to support small local businesses. And also thank you to our viewers for tuning into the event and for asking such great questions.